Hello and welcome to my review of Nightwing number 71, an issue that is written by Dan Jurgens with art by Ronan Cliquette. This is a journey to Joker War. The Joker is indeed in Bloodhaven with a few days to kill and ends up seemingly wanting to get Rick Grayson on his side against Batman, using his lack of memories and also the memory gem to insert memories that would show that Joker was the guy who ended up showing up, saving a Dick Grayson after his mom and dad died and raising him as his own. Now, a lot of people I see writing reviews and on YouTube, they think that this is the cat's meow. They think this is great. Well, number one, I don't know how many of them are not just joining in here because it's heading to the Joker War. Because if they were reading this series up till now, I would think that they would realize that this is nonsense. And it's nonsense for a couple of different reasons. One being a continuity error that I don't think many people besides myself will really get upset about. But there is also the idea in this that this issue 71 Joker War deal pretty much mirrors issues 64, 65, and 66, the Year of the Villain stuff, with the William Cobb Talon coming into Bloodhaven with a few days to thrill and making getting Rick Grayson to think that the Court of the Owls and him, William Cobb, his grandfather, were the ones who saved him and were the people that did all the good after his parents died. And it's one of those things that I think that some people will say, well, themes kind of repeat a little. And it's not just themes. There is a progression in this comic, number 71, that mirrors what we got in those other three. You have panels that are almost exact in my mind of the progression and just how it's set up. And if this would be something where I'm like, well, this really apes, Batman number 384 from back in 1962, that would be different. This is only a couple months ago, and you are on repeat and repeat when you go in. You start off the issue with what we have gotten all throughout this whole Rick Grayson deal. He's there with his girlfriend B in her prodigal bar. And you end up hearing sirens, and Rick Grayson's got to go help. She says, oh, come on, ignore them. You can't be a hero all the time. But this is what he keeps doing. You play this idea, and this is what gets me angry about this book. You want to make the play that, look, Rick Grayson, he doesn't remember anything, but you know what? He's still a hero. Just get him back to Dick Grayson. There's no reason. There's no reason for this Rick Grayson stuff, especially this far on. That started with issue 50. We're on issue 71. Please, somebody save us. Save us. But he goes off. Oh, my God, there's sirens. I have to go and prove that I'm a good guy. I'm going to go off and see what's going on. When he does leave, that does leave B alone. And a fella comes out of the shadows. He's coming down the shadowy stairs saying, hello, B. I'm a friend. I'm here to talk to you about Rick, Dick, Richard. And so you're, oh my God, we know it's the Joker, but she doesn't. Oh my God, who is this in the shadows? Well, if you go back to issue number 64, you ended up having the rolling blackouts, the looters, rioters, all these things going on in that issue. And that was the reason why then Rick Grayson had to go off. He was going off to go fight with the Nightwing squad, which left B alone, which then kind of the looters, they were going to get handsy. There's trouble. But you get a shadowy figure coming out to, at this point, actually become a friend with B and to kind of save her. But it's the shadowy big bad that B doesn't know who's involved. That is somebody who has a tie to Rick Grayson. Well, we end up from there going off to see what Rick Grayson was going off, the sirens, all that. And it's Tusk. And Tusk seemingly has gotten an escape, almost like the fugitive. He's not looking for the one-armed man, but he should be looking for the non-Tusk Tusk, which I'll explain in a minute, because he is escaped from a overturned transfer truck, and people are trying to get him back in. He's attacking the police. Rick Grayson shows up to stop this and to fight Tusk. This is the continuity error. And there is kind of a twofold thing going on. Number one, the Tusk that we have here was introduced into this continuity back in Batman and Robin Annual number 2 during the New 52 issue written by Peter J. Tomasi. That was after Damian Wayne had died. And we see Tusk here. He's got both his tusks. It's pretty cool. And the whole idea of this issue was to show the history of Tusk versus Robin. Tusk had become a very Robin-centric villain, and it's spelled out here that he didn't care about Batman. It was that stinking Robin and Dick Grayson Robin that he wanted to get at. Now, Tusk had lost one of his tusks from Robin, and Dick Grayson's trying to get the second one, trying to take him back. Now, in this story, it's told through a flashback. They're talking about Tusk, all these things going on, while Dick Grayson had received a package from Damian Wayne that Damian sent before he died. So you end up getting this package after Damian had died. What is the package? Well, after this whole setup of Tusk versus Robin, the package is Tusk's other Tusk and a note that kind of seems to point that Tusk is dead. Now, he's been disappeared for a while. Nobody's seen him. You get a note, "I've taken care of your villain." And it was a bittersweet moment after Damian's death, but it was one of those kind of things that was perfect Damian. I love this annual because there is Damian that is kind of helping out Dick Grayson, kind of saying, okay, I knew you were having problems with this Tusk, so I took care of him. Now, the reaction from Bruce and Alfred and Dick really doesn't play out that maybe he's not dead, but it really felt that way. And so there's the other thing, though, of Damian doing this also is to prove he was always the best Robin and better than Dick Grayson. So you end up having this. Now, a little bit later, Tusk showed up again in the New 52 in the Batman Superman book, again written by Peter J. Tomasi. And I ended up messaging him back in the day and said, whoa, this is weird. I thought that Tusk was dead. And if he wasn't dead, he was missing both his tusks. When he came back in Batman Superman, he had both his tusks. And at that point, Peter J. Tomasi admitted it was a goof. I messed up. He said he kind of remembered writing Batman and Robin Annual. He was going to go back and check it out. And he didn't. And so he said that Batman Superman, it was number 31. He ended up saying it was a goof, but then said he kind of he's glad that he did it because he did want to show that Tusk was not killed by Damian. Damian didn't kill Tusk, but he took off both his tusks. Admitted that was a snafu, though. They should have shown him without Tusk, but they didn't. But you can sit there and say, well, there, Jim, Tusk is alive again. Peter J. Tomasi said it himself. Plus, a lot of people look at the New 52, pish-posh it, and say that doesn't count. It does, and they're wrong, but you can go because we go to the Rebirth era, and Tusk shows up again in Gotham City Monsters number 1. He has both his tusks. All right, we're back. We're back here. Well, the idea of this, though, is this whole thing in Gotham City Monsters, the setup here is that Tusk treats Killer Croc like a good guy, like a real person, not a monstrosity that he really is. And because of that, Croc really takes an affinity to Tusk. The problem is that the motivation for Killer Croc throughout the rest of this Gotham City Monsters is because Tusk is killed. He's dead. So this is the last time he's dead. And if you want to say anything, this was from this number 2, October of 2019. It's only a couple months away. So it's continuity. And you may sit there again. Oh, it's Tusk. Who cares? I don't care. Jim, why do you care? You know, whether or not I care, the editors and DC should, and they don't. And the idea that this crap keeps happening is just, why does anybody believe that when DC says, we're going to open up the continuity and make everything count, we're going to make everything make sense, you can't even get a simple thing like this right, and we expect you to get all the continuity right? Yeah, you're full of crap is what you are. Back to Tusk. We're back here, and he's fighting. The police are there, but Rick Grayson shows up, and the fight is on. You end up having Tusk not recognize Rick. Rick doesn't recognize Tusk, and especially the Rick not recognizing Tusk seems to be like the 900th opportunity to show the reader, oh my God, Rick doesn't remember things. I can't believe it. He doesn't even remember Tusk. And it's weird because that's not even played out here. It's just a villain. And so as they're fighting, though, Rick sees that this whole thing seems to be set up by the Joker. The Joker threw one of his cards that popped the tire that ended up making the whole deal. It's like, I know a woman who swallowed a fly. You end up having this progression. And you have Rick, oh my God, it was the Joker. I don't know if the Joker's a bad guy, but I remember he's a killer. We'll see that in a minute. Well, we go off then to check in with the detective squad. Now, the problem leading into this is Sapienza, the head of the Nightwing squad, is the guy who ended up in the last issue running into the Joker, and the Joker saying, you're a fraud, you're not the real Nightwing, I'm going to slice and dice you, and he's in the hospital here where Colleen, another member of the Nightwing squad, comes in to see if he's okay. He doesn't look okay, and by the end of the scene, it looks like he's flatlining. But remember, the idea of this is Joker comes into town, he ends up seeing a fake Nightwing and slices him. Pretty much exactly how Zach here ended up in the hospital in Nightwing number 64 when William Cobb came into town and saw an imposter and sliced and diced him and put him in the hospital. This is the same thing that happened. And you had Zach, who's always getting put in the hospital, but this is what goes on in this. This is why I keep saying that the whole issue number 71, it just ends up being the same as this Year of the Villain. It really is. You end up going back to the 71 right here, where Rick Grayson again sees this Joker card, takes it out of the tire, throws it, and says, I know that this Joker, he's never up to any good, right? Well, he ends up taking down Tusk so that he can go off and go back to B. Well, when we go back to B, the Joker has revealed himself to her. He says, I'm an expert on all things Batman. She's like, you're the one, the only Joker. And there you go. Well, let's go back to issue number 65, where you end up having B, C, Talon, William Cobb. Oh, no. Who are you? You're a Talon? It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. He shows up, reveals himself. Oh, my, you're the Joker? Oh, my, you're the Talon, who then grabs B, and you're going to use B as a way to get Rick Grayson pissed off and where he needs to be. Because here we go. Rick Grayson flies into the Prodigal Bar, kicking and a punching, and he's ready, but he's not really ready for the Joker because as he goes to punch and kick the Joker steps aside and elbows Rick in the back of the neck while B's behind. Well, let's go back to 65, where he ended up, and this was on a rooftop, at least he had a different scenery, but Rick Grayson shows up, sees that Talon has B, runs to punch him, Talon ducks, and then elbows him in the back. Pretty much exactly what is going on this week. Okay, so you have B, who she's there with a bat at this point and figures, oh, well, I'm going to take care of the Joker myself. She tries to attack the Joker. He ends up pretty much blocking it and then slapping her down. Let's go back to 65, where she jumps on the back of William Cobb Talon, and then he slaps her down. This is exact of what we are. It's what's going on here. So we go now to the idea, and there is a funny line where you end up having Joker say, nobody likes Rick Grayson, nobody likes that name, it's ridiculous. But you end up having the Joker say, look at me. I ended up getting the memory crystal that the doctor ended up, in the Court of the Owls doctor ended up using to take Rick's memories away, but also insert the memories of the Court of the Owls. Well, now Joker has the crystal. He says, I can use her own silver bullet to wipe away her influence forever. So now Joker's going to get rid of the Talon memories, because remember, up until this point, Rick is confused between what he remembers that are the real memories also being intertwined with the ones that the Talon and the Court of the Owls ended up inserting with the memory crystal. And that's the whole gist of everything now is I can't really go with any of these memories because I have both and I don't trust them. Well, now the Joker is going to erase the Court of the Owls memories and insert his. He says, let me tell you about a little boy whose parents died in the circus, but their deaths didn't make the little boy sad. He was thrilled because a very nice man with green hair and white skin came to take that boy in and raise him as his own. Allow me to tell you about his life. Let's go back to Nightwing 66, where you end up having William Cobb Talon as frozen Rick Grayson. B asks, what are you trying to do? And he says, the point is to rebuild my great-grandson for a greater purpose. One where he is free of Batman's influence, where I am the one who came to his aid and raised him. It's the exact thing. It's exact. You are only redoing Year of the Villain. If this was going to be the case, have some forethought and just have the stupid Year of the Villain nonsense that pretty much nobody liked anyway, and it was a waste. Why wasn't that the Joker just leading into this? Because you are on repeat. You're on repeat on a book that has done nothing for over 2 years. This book is treading water. How can you tread water while treading water? I don't know. Do you just add more water? Do you add more treading? Because it's ridiculous. And people sitting there, this was a great issue. It really showed that the Joker really is upping the ante. Well, why didn't you say this before with William Cobb? And if you did, you should remember this. It's only a couple months ago. You're repeating all this. And because of that, I'm giving this a 4 out of 10. I don't mind the art. The one thing that I don't like is Rick's face. At points, he looks like the NBA guard legend, Steve Nash. At other points, it looks like Scott Snyder. I don't understand. He doesn't look right. He really doesn't. But the story does nothing. And even if we go with the fact that this doesn't resemble the whole Year of the Villain deal, the only thing that happens in this issue, let's just go through it just straight up this issue. Rick Grayson has to go up. He hears sirens where he's going to fight Tusk, where he realizes, oh my God, the Joker's in town. In the meantime, the Joker's at the Prodigal, bar. We already saw that he had the memory crystal. He comes in, slaps B around until Rick Grayson gets there, and then pretty much says, I'm going to use the crystal to change your memories. That's it. Nothing happened. The only thing that really happens is the last page where, oh my God, the Joker's going to change his memories. I mean, really. These memories being changed, at least they change more than I change my underwear, right? Is that right?
Edit that out.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, nothing is happening. Nothing's happening in this book. And hopefully this Joker war is, and what the Joker's doing, because he is going to remove the Talon stuff. And I have a feeling that it's one of those, you're starting to erase the tape too much and re-recording. And I don't think that the Joker memories will stick because of Rick's heart. He'll realize that's not the case. So with the Talon memories erased, and the Talon ones, if you're going to say, well, why would he go with the Talon ones? Why do they stick? Well, I think that part of family with William Cobb ends up being the reason why he is having those stick. But other than that, I just think that this might end with, us getting Dick Grayson. But is it one of these, the needle and the damage done? Neil Young can tell you. And this book is done. People have bailed unless you end up coming back, and just wait. If you're going to do stuff after Death Metal, if you're going to have a soft reboot, hard reboot, limp reboot, I don't know. If you're going to have that, wait till then. Just come back with the number one. Dick Grayson, as I would like him in Hollywood, being a detective for the stars. That's what I need. And then he'll be a hard-boiled Dick, right? But that's that. What is that? This 4 out of 10. I should probably even go lower. It's so infuriating, stuff like this. But that is my review of Nightwing number 71. It's a little longer than I wanted it to be, but I hope that you enjoyed all of this. And if you did, you can check out all the Things Weird Science. We have a Marvel podcast. We have a DC Comics podcast. We also have a Patreon account, patreon.com/Weird Science, where you can go and get a bunch of exclusive shows to thank you for your support. So that is just that. And thanks, everybody. And I'll talk to you later.